LEB Hobbies is proud to sponsor coverage of the UK Slot Festival. LEB Hobbies has won the Home Racing World Service Excellence Award 7 years in a row. Visit lebhobbies.com.
Okay, so what do you think the future of slot cars is?
So I can see slot cars having two futures. I can see it bridging even more between people who take it very, very seriously and go to clubs and go to racing, who do race with Thunderslot, NSR, those sort of guys. You know, there's so many different parts and cars for those sort of people now to be able to pick up those bits and go club racing, go slot racing. Mm-hmm. And then I see also a path where it becomes a bit like the board game industry, and the toy industry of it is massive already, but we see that growing with families getting together at Christmas, getting together at birthdays and playing with the micro system or 30-second scale, and it being that sort of, as it always has been, that family toy to get out and have a quick play with for a few hours on a day before you put it away and go and do something else, especially if the weather's inclement or anything like that.
So what's Scalextric doing to kind of bolster those two directions?
So for the first direction, for the serious guys, we still try and make sure our chassis are at least similar across the classes of car. GTs are inline, touring cars are inline, Trans Am or Sidewinder, all that sort of bits and pieces. Had a few chats today with people about trying to make sure our chassis design is suitable for other clubs, you know, make sure there's space for the wheels to be a bit bigger tyres, things like that. So we're going to look to try and make sure we do that. I know that hasn't been our priority, but it's nice if we can take little free bits to try and make our cars more compatible with that. But then our main focus, and I mean our main as in 98% of our focus, is on the mass market side of things. Now we're here with a Back to the Future versus Knight Rider set, never been done before, two physical properties in one box, to try and draw people in from the TV and film universe into slot racing. We're attending the Comic-Con event in a couple of months' time. We've got Doc Brown from Back to the Future on our stand. We're sponsoring that whole entire event, that pop culture side of people, to show them that slot racing exists and to show them what Scalextric is.
And this is just in the UK then, obviously. It's not going to
the products are worldwide.
Okay.
You know, we can't do that sort of outreach to the States at the moment due to a marketing budget, but it's something we can do digitally. Something we are going to look to do digitally worldwide to tell people that, you know, if you're into Batman, if you're into Superman, if you're into Back to the Future and Knight Rider, and there's more people that are into that than there are slot racing.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
There's this product, there's this hobby that exists out there that you can get involved with as well. And even if only 10% of those people take it up, that's still a massive extra people into the hobby. And we still offer micro systems at a toy brace to get people in, and our 30-second scale systems at a toy break to get in. And we spend more time doing this than anything else, and that's trying to recruit people into slot racing.
Very good. Okay, very cool. Okay, so these are questions that you all came up with, and so we're going to have some other questions for myself, but modern Formula One, definitely been a hot topic. Why no modern Formula One? I think I know the answer, but let's go.
It's modern Formula One yet. Okay. So last year was very awkward because there should have been the new rules break last year. COVID delayed that. As a company, we can't tool a new Formula One body for one season.
Right.
No matter how good that season was and how amazing that season was, it makes no financial sense to tool one body we can use for a year and then the body shape completely changes. So, you know, I can't discuss future projects, but we are working on, you know, I'm sure you'll see us back in that sphere in the not too distant future.
Very cool. There you go. Someone brought up, this is kind of I've heard this before, the idea of a drag strip set. Drag racing is not very popular in the UK, no, I believe.
But with Arc Air and definitely Arc Pro, you can set that up as a drag race strip. Okay. It does have that facility. You put the start-finish straight, I think, at the end and do it. If you contact our technical team, they'll be able to give you a full rundown of how you do it. But yeah, you can make a drag strip out of our Arc system. So we've already got you covered on that one. We're all good.
Very cool.
But we're not doing funny cars and dragsters and stuff. You're on your own over there with that. No.
You're on your own.
Yeah.
You heard it here first, but not last, I'm sure. Yeah. American muscle cars. You have a lot of American muscle cars. I've said this before, I'm going to say it again with Simon here. They do about 50 new cars a year, give or take, 10 of which are usually set aside for the American market. When Simon and I worked together, we would work together to pick the cars. Obviously, ultimately, it was his and at that time Martin's decision. But I mean, American muscle cars feature definitely prominently in your product lines. Just talk briefly about that, or talk extensively about that.
Well, I mean, you know, firstly, I love American muscle cars. You know, it's on my sort of dream list when I win the Euro Millions. So I'm going to get a GT350 and paint it black and gold, and it's going to be, you know, stripped out with a great big, probably a Coyote or something, like, you know, a decent V8 in it and a modern V8 in it. But anyway, you know, we love American muscle cars. They actually sell well worldwide for the most part, especially the 60s, 70s cars. They sell well in Australia, which is a massively important market to us. They sell well in the UK, you know, the Dodge Charger, the purple one with a shaker hood on it, you know, that looked amazing, that sold well. So yeah, we'll continue to do American cars. It may be that, you know, we're talking the next 2 or 3 years, like the numbers sort of do that, because we have to bring in other categories, but there will always be American stuff in the range. I mean, this year we've got a new tool of the Mustang, we've got the Cobra, we've got the Hemi Cuda, which was delayed from last year, and we've got the Z28 delayed from last year. Yeah. You know, there will be American stuff next year, new stuff I'm sure, and there'll be reliveries. There'll always be American muscle cars because they're such a surefire winner, and because they're so cool and they have such cool race liveries as well.
And definitely, when you think about what they're doing compared to what the other companies are doing, they're doing, you know, like we said, maybe up to 10 cars, but that's more than all the other companies combined do. Carrera just don't do this number of American cars.
Yeah,
they just don't.
I mean, the things with the American stuff as well that makes it so interesting for us in the 60s, 70s period especially, is that the race cars were the same shape as the road cars. So we only have to talk, say we were to update our Camaro with the I think it's a 71 shape. It has the extra driving lights on the inside. Yeah, we could update our shape to that potentially in the future, and then we get race liveries on that, road liveries on that, and it's one tool. A lot of European cars, especially as you move towards the late 70s, early 80s, the race and road version is so different, we can't get the same out of it. So that makes it much more attractive to us as well.
Right. Okay, so I love talking about the economics of slot cars.
Yep.
Let's talk about kind of, again, because we talked about this in the interview we did a few months ago, let's talk about the issues, the challenges you faced with getting things done in China this year.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, it's a challenge we're still facing.
Sure.
I mean, our factory is in an area of China which has seen continual COVID lockdowns to the point where we couldn't even get couriers in to get test shots out and things like that. So that's an issue. Workforce is an issue. Pre-COVID, the Chinese workforce would come to the factory after Chinese New Year and then go back again at the next Chinese New Year back home and then come back. It was that sort of commuting back and forth every year. That isn't happening so much now. We're seeing that the workforce don't wish to return to the cities because they're worried about getting locked down and getting stuck there, or they left much earlier, which is completely understandable. You know, if you put yourself in that situation, you know, if you worked in New York but lived in Ohio, and you were told, like, Christmas is coming, by the way, you might be stuck in your dormitory in New York because there's a lockdown coming. You get out of Dodge, you go, wouldn't you? So that's understandable. Costs are going up due to raw material costs, shipping costs, electrical component costs. Electrical components are in short supply. It is a perfect storm of everything that can damage the delivery schedule of a company like ours, all happening at once. You've got what's going on in Ukraine, delaying shipping as well, because ships that normally go there aren't, and they're in different routes now. And you know, despite the fact none of our stuff goes anywhere near the Black Sea, that affects it. So it's just a really tough time. And then with the States as well, there's delays getting stuff from ships into port. So you know, the Corvette, the C8R, that got to within a few nautical miles of the West Coast quite quickly. It was just that last couple of bits to the dock that were the problem. So, you know, we have all of those issues, but we're working through it. We have more stuff coming all the time. We've got loads of samples here this weekend, so it is improving. It's a slow process, and I can't stand here and say, you know, this time next year it'll all be fixed and we'll be back to our reliable schedule, but stuff is coming. Just got to be patient. Luckily, you don't eat slot cars. You don't need slot cars.
Luckily.
So, you know, it's got to be patient. It will be delivered just as and when.
Talk a little bit about the Australian market, how you go about, because there's definitely some guys that have been talking about wanting more Aussie supercars. Talk about that topic.
So the way we work in Australia is that our distributor down there, Southern Model Supplies, they tell us what the Australian market wants and we produce it. We produce it solely for them. They take it and they distribute it in Australia. Occasionally there may be a car that we think is so popular we'd want to do that in Europe and America, in which case we reach a deal with them whereby we distribute it worldwide and they take a cut, like with the rest of our range. But in all honesty, don't get particularly involved. I trust those guys to know what they're doing. They do seem to know what they're doing. They tell us what they want and it gets made. And we've got some really cool stuff in the pipeline with them as well. And one car and some bits that I actually said, no, that needs to be worldwide. So there is some cool stuff coming from the Australian market. I'm a massive Bathurst fan. I mentioned this before. You know, I used to watch the Toulouse 1000 on old VHS tapes when I was growing up. So, you know, it's definitely going to be concentrating on them, but it really is led by that Australian team.
Very cool. Very specific questions here. More caterhams. Any chance about that?
No, the caterhams just didn't really sell that well for us. We've still got some in stock. Everyone that is that wants them, if he drops me an email, I'll do him a special price. No.
You heard that here first.
No, at the moment, it's very, very unlikely for us to produce any more caterhams.
Okay. Saab rally cars and rally in general.
We'll just split that into two bits. Rally is something that we will potentially look at. It's an area of motorsport that we haven't done much of recently. As I alluded to earlier, of course, if we start moving into a new sphere that we haven't done much of, other areas may get cut down a little bit just to fit. We don't want to do 80 cars instead of 60 by doing 20 rally cars. We would still continue to do 60, where in the past we would do 12 muscle cars. That may drop to 10 and 10 touring cars and stuff too, to get that extra space. So yeah, that's something we're looking at. It won't be Saabs.
Okay.
Right, yeah, I mean, not nothing against Saab, great things, but a little bit quicker, a little bit more exciting.
More BTCCs. Someone specifically mentioned Volvo.
They're after the Super. So that person I would guess is after the 850 Estate, which is our most requested car in the UK.
Okay.
It is one of my favourite ever racing cars. So all I can say is it won't be next year, but it will happen. Before I get ousted as a fraud at Hornby and kicked out, that I will get that across the line, 100%. It's got it, and one of them will come with a dog in the back as well for the formation lap. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Just generally, why do you think there is no show like this in the US?
I don't know why there wouldn't be. I would presume, and this is from my sort of experience in the plastic model kit world, it's just the sheer size of the US. Dealers in the UK, we're right in the middle of the UK here, which means for the furthest dealer that's coming, it's still only about 3 or 4 hour drive. If you were right in the middle of the US, some of the dealers, that's like a 10, 12 hour drive, isn't it? So
yeah, or a 3 or 4 hour flight.
Yeah, with stock. So
yeah, right.
I think that would be why. I really don't know enough about the US slot car market to guess as to why that hasn't happened. But all I can say is to your guys, then this is actually a really nice part of the UK. You can go visit Stratford upon Avon, the Shakespeare's Place. There's Warwick is nice, not far from Birmingham, and London's only a couple of hours. So next year, it's a nice part of the time of the year in the UK. It'll rain, but not every day. Come over, see the Slot Fest, come chat to us, come chat to Dave, and experience the show for yourselves. 'Cause it really is worth it, and just pack that extra empty suitcase and take your stuff home as well.
Very cool. Thanks a lot for your time. I really
No worries,
appreciate
man,
it.
as always. No problem.
Thanks, folks.
Cheers, guys.
See you all again soon.